Hello students, welcome to my classes. I'm Mrs. Suri. Today we are going to start with the biology and very interesting topic, life process. So we are going to cover first part of the life process, nutrition. First of all, let's start this chapter. What is life process? There are, processes which are performed by living organisms to maintain their life on earth. So these are nutrition, respiration, transportation, and transportation, excretion, reproduction. Nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion are essential. Although reproduction is also important for the survival of the, species on Earth, but these four mainly comes under the essential life processes. Let's start with the nutrition. What do you mean by nutrition? So, to maintain, life on Earth, we need energy first of all. So, why do we need nutrition? The living organism need energy, even when we are not doing any work. So, from where this energy is coming? From food. So, food is required for repairing damaged cells, growth, development, maintenance, body temperature. So food is how we are taking, food, how we utilize it. So the energy comes from the outside the body in the form of food. Nutrition is process of transferring this source into the body. So it is intake, digestion, and how this food is, going to give us energy. This is all nutrition. Let's start this topic. So there are different modes of nutrition. One is autotrophic, one is heterotrophic. Autotrophic, like plants, and they, synthesize their food from simple inorganic substances like carbon dioxide and water. So they synthesize their own food. Auto, self, tropic, provide. So these are the synthesized. So they synthesize their own food. So they are called producers. Example, green plants, cyanobacteria. A few bacteria do have this chloroplast. So they are synthesize their own food. So they comes under category autotrophs. And heterotroph organism depend upon the autotroph for their, food requirement. See, like they are called consumer. They are further divided into like saprotrophic nutrition, saprotroph, parasitic, and other, so these are further divided, and holozoic type of nutrition. Let's start with the autotrophic nutrition. The process, what is autotrophic nutrition? The process by which green plant make their food using using sunlight and chlorophyll. So chloroplast in the what are the site where, photosynthesis is performed? Photosynthesis is performed in the chloroplast in the mesophyll cell. So, excess food, once it is prepared, it is stored as a starch in the plant. So let's start with the photosynthesis. Photo light synthesis, making of something. The process by which green plant make their own food using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. We have seen the first requirement of the photosynthesis. So carbon dioxide is required, water is required, so, and sunlight and chlorophyll. These are the four basic requirements. First of all, we have to understand from where all these requirements are fulfilled, so that plants can make their own food. So let's start with the water. Water they take from the soil, yes or no? Along with the water, they take you other nutrients, including nitrogen in the form of nitrate and nitrite from the soil along with other micro and macronutrient like magnesium and all these from the soil itself. So water is absorbed by the root. It reaches the, plant from the root, from root to other entire plant part. And carbon dioxide, it is, from the environment, it is taken through the stomata. Stomata are special cells which actually present in the leaf or a stem, shoot part of the plant. So they take up carbon dioxide from the environment. So these stomata, they take up carbon dioxide from the environment, and see, they have special cells. Yes. So how plant take up CO2? So they take a CO2 with the help of specialized cells on the leaf, which are called stomata. They are guarded by guard cell, like guard cells. You have seen this chloroplast is present in the guard cell. So what happened during? So these stomata are tiny pores present on the surface of this. So they are controlled by this kidney-shaped guard cell. So when they are open, water goes in and they swell. Open pores, so so they take up CO2. Once their requirement of CO2 is fulfilled, carbon dioxide is fulfilled, the guard cell water flow out, they shrink and the pores are closed. So by this way, so when a guard cell take water by osmosis, they become turgid, swallow. The stomata opens pores. Okay. So what happened? To take up CO2 for photosynthesis, these guard cells help the stomata to take carbon dioxide. So these are actually site for the gaseous exchange. So by this way, they, after, once oxygen is formed, photosynthesis is performed, oxygen is, released into the atmosphere from the stomata. So these are very helpful in the gaseous exchange. Yes. So basic requirement for photosynthesis is sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, as already explained, they take through the stomata. And chlorophyll are present on the leaf, which help in, which help to trap light energy and convert into and help the photosynthesis to happen. So this sunlight, they trap the sunlight. And now inorganic substances, carbon dioxide and water, when they react, so water is split up into the hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is, go to making in the glucose. CO2 is being reduced to glucose and oxygen is released. So there is a, hydrolysis. Water molecule is split up into H2 and O2. Oxygen is released into the environment. By this way, glucose is formed as a product of photosynthesis. So this glucose they use as an energy source for entire other activity of the plant. Excess glucose is stored as a starch in the plant. So is this clear? So So by this way, plants will make their own food. Now, nutrition in amoeba. So amoeba is a unicellular organism. Single cell is there to perform all the activity. But in higher organism like humans, like us, multicellular organism, different organs are there to perform different activities. Different cells are there. So in nutrition, what happened? There is a unicellular, single cellular organism. So once it ingests, any food particle, it makes finger-like projection, which are called pseudopodia. So once it engulfs that food, it make food vacuole. After once food vacuole formation, there is digestion. It secretes some enzyme to, into the food vacuole so that food is once food is digested, then it is assimilated, energy for growth. Once the food, absorption of that food happen in the cytoplasm, the used food, we can say undigested food, is thrown out of the body through the cell surface. So here you have seen the single cell perform the entire activity. So the organism in which the food is digested step by step, starting from ingestion, then digestive enzyme work on it called digestion. After that, absorption, then egestion, removal of undigested. This type of nutrition is called holozoic nutrition. It is same, it is occurring in humans also, but with the help of a complete digestive system. Let's study that. But in amoeba, unicellular organism, single cell is able to perform all the activities. So, students, now let's do the most interesting part of this chapter, how digestion occurred in human beings. Human beings also follow holozoic type of nutrition. So we have a complete digestive tract starting from the mouth. So let's discuss what you all have in right now in your food and lunch. So right now in my lunch I just had a parantha and butter and along with some curd. So carbohydrate, what are the part of the food? So carbohydrate, we can say we just had carbohydrate or protein also along with some, sprouts I have. Carbohydrate, protein, curd is also having protein. So along with that, I had some butter, so fat. So let's start how this food is going to give me energy. Let's start the food digestion. So you have seen this one diagram will explain each and everything. Let's start this story. So from the mouth is called buccal cavity. There is present teeth. See, teeth, we have teeth which help in the food is taken in to chewed by the teeth mixed with the saliva. Saliva contain enzyme called salivary amylase. So, starting so digesting inside the mouth. The first step, starch is starting, this digesting from, start digestion of starch start from the mouth itself. So because with the help of, salivary glands, saliva is secrete which contain an enzyme alpha amylase. Okay. So this is a complex food which we had just had. So complex food is not, they have undergone, different process to give us energy. It is first of all changed into the simpler food. So in the mouth now, this saliva makes and goes to the pharynx, a muscular tube that act as a passage for food from mouth to esophagus. Esophagus is a long tube that pushes food into the stomach by peristaltic movement. Food will not go directly like this. They will go for rhythmic contraction and relaxation, which is called peristalsis. By this way, the bolus that goes down in the stomach. So stomach contain hydrochloric acid. Stomach release hydrochloric acid. As name suggests, it is highly acidic. So along with the enzyme pepsin, which work on the protein, the curd which I had will work on the protein, which digest protein. So along with that, mucus is also secreted. See, अब stomach is highly acidic. इतना acidic है तो इसी को नुकसान पहुंचा देगा. So mucus is a protective layer which protect the stomach lining from highly acidic HCl, hydrochloric acid. So protein digestion starts in the stomach itself with the help of hydrochloric acid and with the help of pepsin actually. Hydrochloric acid is there to provide acidity as well as to kill bacteria which may enter in our system with the food. Okay, so now the partially digested food goes to the small intestine. Now, two other organs are getting active to participate in the process of digestion. They are liver and pancreas. I had just had butter also. So liver, which is very helpful, to emulsification of the fat, in the emulsification of the fat to help to digest that butter. So bile produced help in the emulsification of the fat. Now pancreatic juice, which contain some enzymes. Pancreatic juice contain which enzyme? Amylase, trypsin, and lipase that work on the further amylase is the amylase will work on the starch and trypsin on protein. Trypsin, pepsin, they both work on digestion of protein and lipase on the lipids. So what they are going to do, they pour their secretion into small intestine, pancreatic juice. They help in the final digestion occur in the small intestine. So the main site of digestion, has happened in the small intestine along with the help of pancreatic juice and for the liver also from the liver which secrete bile. When liver secrete bile, na, there is a temporary or storage happened in the gallbladder, okay, which help in the storage of only for some time. When it is required, it pour into the small intestine. Now the partially digested food or goes to the large intestine where actually absorption of this food happen. So it has three parts. One, half the food is, absorbed in the small intestine. They have villi and microvilli, which increase the surface area, which help the food to be, absorbed there. Once it is absorbed, the undigested food goes to the large intestine where final absorption happen. After that, the undigested food is thrown out of the system and will stored in the rectum and where it is temporarily stored through anus, which is undigested food is digested out of the body. This is the entire journey of the food which we take, how it is digested. So in small intestine, the proteins are converted into amino acid. So fats finally into lipids, and this complex food into glucose is converted into glucose, which further provide me energy and excess stored as the fat in the body cells. Thank you. So this is all about how the food is going to provide us nutrition. Let's summarize entire lecture within 5 minutes. See, the beginning, the mouth and the stomach. Mouth, the enzymes which are secreted, alpha amylase, which convert starch, a few percentage of starch, and so digestion start itself in the mouth itself. Now, the stomach, which secrete three things. One is the hydrochloric acid, which kill bacteria and activate pepsin. Pepsin will work on the protein. Pepsin, digestion of protein. Mucus, which act as a protective protective lining which help the stomach to protect from highly acidic, HCl. Now, the next. Yes. Amylase is also secreted by saliva as well as the pancreatic juice also contain amount of amylase which actually work on the starch. The end product or the simpler form is glucose. It work on the starch which is a complex food material. It is simplified into glucose or sugar. Pepsin and trypsin, which are secreted by stomach, pepsin by the stomach, trypsin by the pancreatic juice, they act on the protein to convert into in the simpler absorbable form, which are amino acid, lipase, which is actually secretion from the pancreatic juice. It work on the emulsified fat. So the final end product is fatty acid and glycerol. Bile juice secreted by the liver, they convert large fat globules into the small fat globules. Once the food is converted into simple absorbable form, that small intestine, take part in absorption, the inner lining. See, can you see the inner lining of the small intestine has finger-like projection, which are called villi. They increase the surface area for the absorption. Say they richly supply with the blood vessel transport absorb. Now, once the food is absorbed, it is supplied to the entire cells. The remaining unabsorbed food is sent to the large intestine for water absorption. So, why there are villi and microvilli? They increase the surface area, more the surface area, more will be the absorption. So, digested nutrient pass through the thin walls of villi. Nutrient enter the blood vessels and lecitals. These are also present, They are actually lymph capillaries. So, what are the nutrients? What is their absorbed form? Nutrient carbohydrate, which is absorbed in a simpler form, glucose, protein, which are complex food particle, which actually absorbed in the simpler form, amino acid, fat in the form of glycerol and fatty acid, vitamin, mineral, and water. So villi, so in short, villi absorb nutrient and water and then transfer into the blood and lymph. So it is all about how, your nutrients are absorbed and converted into the simple absorbable form, and then they are going to provide us energy. So by this way, the food nutrients which you are taken through the food is going to provide you nutrition. Thank you.